And I'm going to bring this up. All right, so last week we just started laying this out. I believe I just called this Billy B reaction. It's good 24 FPS, and it just was blocking in. So what we were doing was just going from key to key to key. We were just going from neutral 3/4 position, and then his head turned all the way, and we gave a whole bunch of frames in order for that to happen. And then we brought his head back, and then we did a squash on him with a blink, and then we did an overshoot, and then we did a return or a settle to the main key again. And again, that just kind of looked like this, playing at speed, kind of a double take. And we need to go back in there and then break those actions down. And we can still do that. I think that what we've got there is working pretty good. But what I've done, what I did this afternoon, is prep a couple of things for you all. And so on the Canvas, in Canvas, go to the class and click on the discussions area. And in the discussions area, you will all see that I put in takes and accents. I think was maybe last week. I forget when I put this on there, but I did that today. 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5. So I put all of these little JPEGs in there for all of you to look at. And we're going to look at those right now. Yeah, I didn't put them in the grade book. I put them in the discussion area. I put them right there. All right, so what those look like is this. And so the first one I have, and it was kind of funny, I wanted to bring I wanted to find the images. Oh, it's opening it in Photoshop. It's not technically what I wanted to do. I want to open this with preview. All right, this is going to bring up just a bunch of stuff, but that's okay. All right, so I wanted to bring up, I wanted to find them online, but I couldn't find all of them. So I just took pictures of them with my cell phone, and they're not the best quality, but we should be able to see exactly what we're looking for. I wanted to start with this one. And the unusual thing is that when my cell phone took these pictures, I saved them to my Notepad app on my phone. And instead of naming them some weird name, it went and looked at the handwriting. So this is Richard Williams' handwriting. And this one is, he wrote, here's a similar reaction. And he's writing the charts down here. And my iPhone named it right from the words that are right here. I'm like, how did it do that? That was kind of funky. All right, the one that I wanted to start it out with was this. And so this is just showing up as image 2626. And this is kind of what we did in laying out our work here when the character is just undergoing the squash, which is the blue. Let me get rid of the onion skin. I forgot how to turn onion skin off here. We'll turn it back on in a second. But he goes from normal position to squash, to stretch, to normal again. And this one, the character is just facing the other way. And this character is undergoing more of a cartoon version of that. He's just normal and neutral. And then he does his squash position here, and the arms start to come up. And then the arms go down as he goes into a stretch position right here. And then he in-betweens into a position that he started with a complete and brand new change of expression. And so this again is from the John Hallis, Harold Whitaker Timing for Animation book, which I speak of in this class. You all should have had a chance to see that when we were in class. The book looks like, the cover of the book looks like this. And we went over this. You should have this book. It's a great book. It's $30. It's a great book. So this is in that book. This is page 74. This is just a pretty cartoony take, but look at this one. This is very cartoony. So here are the characters being astonished by something. And again, this is all fully drawn out already, and it's not broken down in terms of process or steps or anything, but he goes down. And as he's going into the down position, his elbows and his hands go up. It's kind of like counteraction. I shouldn't say counter, it is counteraction. In drawing number 3, his body even squashes further and his hands go up even further. So that counteraction is just the most extreme that you can have it. In drawing number 4, he starts going up. So his hand starts coming down and his body starts going up. And in drawing 5, he reaches his full stretch position, and the hands are now going into the down position, counteracting, going into drawing 6, which is now a breakdown drawing, going from the stretched into the normal new position, but with a change of expression. So this is classic. Everyone who does this kind of reaction or cartoon animated take learns this one first. It's just really classic. Well, let's just jump over to the Richard Williams book. This is page 285. Again, this stuff isn't available online as much as you would like it to be, but it could be there. What you're looking at here is that he's giving an example with this green character where the character starts in a neutral position. The head goes down. There's a little bit of squash going on there. The shoulders and elbows are coming out. And then he goes up and looks to the left at the same time as his hair starts to be blown away. So this is just his version of a take. What the point that I wanted to make is that there are tons of different variations. Just in this one right here, he starts out with just a very normal, what? You know, just kind of like you would think of that's what his inner voice is saying, what? But look at this one. This is as straight ahead as the one that you can see here from the Hallis book, where a character in the side view is just sees something surprising. So he anticipates, he goes down. And Richard Williams writes the word goes down. He could write the word squash here as well. Then he goes up. And then he stretches and his hair goes up and his eyes open up. Remember that on a squash drawing, the eyes are always closed, except for this strange example right here. So the eyes should always be closed. In Richard Williams, his eyes are upside down C's. Very often you make them just like the South Park, little arrows pointing at each other. You can do that. And then in the Tex Avery version, this is where the eyes can pop out of the face. And then you return to a normal position with a new change of expression. And so this is just very standard. Well, let's just take a look at the other variations that he has. Again, these 5 images are all in Canvas for you under discussion. All right, so this is great. Look at our little coyote character here, our little fox character. He's a standing normal neutral. Richard Williams writes, here's a similar one. And again, the JPEG got named, here's a similar one. I did not do that. My phone did that automatically, and I'm actually kind of scared. All right, so you can see the same mechanics. In drawing 7, the head is going down. It's got a little bit of a squash to it. The elbows and arms, hands are going up. That's your counteraction. In drawing 9, there's your stretch position. And the eyes are wide open and the arms are straight down. And then he's returned to a normal key position as he started in drawing number 1, but there's a complete change of expression. The arms are reacting just a little bit. Richard has the timing here for you that you go down on 2s. This is all on 2s, and you go up on 2s. So this is all on 2s. You know, the action is really not that fast. So what he's saying here is that this kind of reaction is all on 2s. This one right here in the Hallis book, this is all on 2s. Every one of these would be on two, or you would start on twos and you would see what your timing is going to look like. All right, so then there are solid drawings, solid working formulas where we can start being more inventive. So here characters are looking at the camera, and what he's done here is that he's taken, and you can barely see it here, but basically what he's done is he's taken the character, and instead of the head going straight down, the head is just kind of tilting, and it's looking to his right just a little bit. He's looking just to the right. Someone's chatting. It's in the Creative Cloud Spooky. Anthony, are you talking about the my phone naming my JPEGs? Is that what you're talking about? I'll wait for my reply. Okay, so in this character, he starts, it starts normal, neutral, and then he goes down and looks to his right. His eyes are closed, and then he comes back, and now here's his, like a breakdown. Look at the black where it started from drawing 1, and by drawing 10, his eyes are still closed, and it's starting to stretch, and then in drawing 11, it's as much of a stretch as you can get. Keep the eyes and the mouth closed until the accent on 11, and then there's a chart showing you, directing you how to get from drawing 11 into drawing 19. So you go from drawing 1, normal, neutral expression, and you jump all the way to 19. That's his change of expression. He's like, huh? You know, that's what he's saying, huh? But this is his mechanics. And it's really, by the way, it's more difficult to animate in the front view than in any other view. I wouldn't recommend this, but it's interesting to think about how the head does not have to just go straight down. It can tilt to one side and then come up. The eyes are wide open, and then you're going to break down and do in-betweens, favoring the 19 positions. So you're going to go 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, all on twos. And 19 frames, so his reaction is just under a full second. So this is a good mechanic here of showing you how to do this. Look at, I believe the next one was this one. So on this one, he's just showing you a couple of different variations, because and these are in the side view. So let's just break these down a little bit. Normal, neutral expression. He looks down for the anticipation that he's saying here. And remember that some animation teachers, some animators will call it an antic. And so it's not a UK thing. It's not a Canadian thing. Richard Williams was from Canada. I think he was from Montreal. The antic is not a abbreviation for anticipation. When I say anticipation, it's the same thing. But he's just calling it an antic. A lot of times, an animator teacher will call an antic a gag. Like, oh, that's a really fun antic. Let's do that on, you know, this shot right here, whatever. So that can be a little confusing. Just remember, this is an anticipation. It's an anticipation for the upwards movement. So this is the squash position going down, and then the stretch has got the mouth wide open for the accent, and the eyes are still closed. So that's a different variation. In this variation here, the eyes are wide open. In this one, the eyes are still closed. You can do all kinds of different things. Here, the ends position is a little higher than his normal start position, and the change of expression goes from huh to so now he's really mad. What the, you know? All right, so let's take a look at the other example he's got here. It doesn't look like he copied the drawings, he just did them over again, and the first 3 drawings are the same. Normal, neutral expression, down for the anticipation, breakdown up for the antic into the squash position, and then the important breakdown position for the mouth is close the mouth when it's still in this high squash position. And that'll give this upper position, like we talked about in our walk cycle, a favor. And so we'll see this a little longer. We'll see the well, Richard calls it a change, a more of vitality, a more change. And the last one is the same. The key is the first example. Now in this one is even a little bit more intricate. He starts neutral. He goes up before he goes all the way down, before he goes up into his stretched position. What this is called, does anyone take a guess what this is called? And you can type it in the chat or you can just say it. Does anyone know what this mechanic is called in animation? No, Jesus, it is not called an anticipation because this is the anticipation. This third drawing is called the anticipation. Jason, do you know this? Anybody know this? Look at the mechanics. The top of his head starts neutral, but it goes up before it goes down. Then it goes up again, up higher, and then returns to the normal position with a change of expression. This is called a pre-anticipation. Pre-anticipation. So the way this works is that if you follow the rules of mechanics, just science, any action that you're going to be animating or even observing needs to have an anticipation. An action is usually preceded by an equal and opposite reaction. If I was in class, I would stand up and I would show you that if I'm standing neutral, I might be able to do this. I think I was testing this out earlier, and I think that the further I get away from my camera, the more I lose my green screen, but let me try it. So if I'm standing in a neutral position and I want to go that way, I can do this mechanically. I can just say, I'm just going to fall into that position. And we do that in normal real life situations. We just say, I'm standing here. Oh, I got to go that way. I'm just going to go that way. Sometimes without thinking it though, I might want to get my weight off this foot. And so I'm going to take my toe, I'm going to push up on my toe a little bit, right? So I'm going to actually drift to my right or to your left, your right, just a little bit before I go that way. That's called an anticipation. And so, but I can also make it more cartoony. I can say, I'm going to drift my arms into the anticipation position before I go that way. That makes it more pronounced. That makes it more obvious. It makes it more visual. So, and the greater the movement, the greater the anticipation should be. So if I'm going to stand here and I know I'm going to go that way, and I want to take a big anticipation, well, this motion that I just made like this is an action all by itself. And so it might need a pre-anticipation before I get here, before I go off. So if you're planning on doing a reaction or any kind of movement that has a really broad, really wide kind of movement to it, I just realized that I don't think any one of you saw that. Did anyone see that? Oh, you did see it. So did you see it?
I saw it.
You saw it. Did you see it in the little preview window? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So let's look at let's look at another example. I thought there was one more. All right, we talked about this one. We talked about this one. We talked about this. All right, I thought there was one more. Let me consult the book here. I have my textbook in front of me. Oh, well, let me see if I can find it. I know that it's out there online somewhere. So let me jump over to the electric internet, and I'm just going to change this to 2D animation, drawing, spelled correctly, and I'm going to put baseball pitcher. All right, and so there's a bunch of them. If I can find the right one. So this little action right here, I forget which textbook this was from, but this guy right here is standing in a neutral position, and he knows he wants to jump forward. So he's going to move down for his anticipation, jump. He's going to reach the high point, stretch, squash to hit the ground, and then recoil to land. I'm not seeing the one I'm actually looking for. Let me see what I did. 2D animation, drawing, baseball pitcher. Uh, all right, that's not giving me a clean view of it. And I've forgotten which text it was in. But the baseball pitcher stands in a neutral position, and then his anticipation is backwards of the way he's going to throw the ball. And then he throws the ball, he overshoots his final position, and then settles. And I don't see it. I don't see it. Well, I'll see if I can find it for next week, because I want to get on to our little demo here. And we are recording, so let me just jump over to this. So let's just take a look at this once again. What we need to be doing is just thinking about it in terms of strict analyzation of time. And actually, let me put this one away. I did this one for Coco. That one's over. Oh, okay, that's okay. All right, so what this is that the idea is that our character is standing in a neutral position. And what they're going to do is they're going to drift. They're going to do a head turn. And so that's always a good thing. I think that when you saw that movie that we just watched for Klaus, Sergio Pablo was talking, it's a brutal animation test to take a character and have that character turn around in 3D in a 360-degree rotation. You can do it, 12 drawings, 16 drawings. It can be done. Some studios will give you an animation test to just do that, and it's got to be perfect or you won't get the animator position. It's sometimes when you apply for a job as an animator, they'll give you a test like that. They'll give you a character and they'll say, turn it around. And you're like, what? And they'll give you 1 day. This is not the same thing. What we're doing here is just giving a natural, neutral head turn. He's watching something, and he might even be watching something for quite a bit of time before he returns to the normal position. And then he actually, what he did is he was distracted by looking away, and then he returned really quickly to do his anticipation, to do the overshoot, to do the return to the main action. All right, just like I said last week, we're going to use this as just a general build of timing and spacing. And so if you have this in front of you, if you're following along, the best way to achieve what we're getting here is we're going to add a layer on top of this. And this is going to be our rough layer. So I'm just going to call this rough. And remember, with this stupid application, you have to like click away from it before you do anything else. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I want my onion skin back on just a little bit. And what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about how to rough this in. So we talked about this last week. I don't know if I did anything by giving you this file. I don't think I did. But what I'll do right now is I'll take the thing that we're doing here tonight and render the movie, and I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll put that in the class, and you can all take a look at what we're doing. And because of that, I'm going to go a little faster than I would normally go in the classroom, because you'll have a chance to go back and look at it at anytime you want. All right, so where's my mouse? I've got my pen is counteracting with my mouse. Okay, so what we're going to do on this rough layer here is we're just going to take this character, we're going to block him in. We might want him to have this kind of design. We don't know that yet. So I'm going to pick a different blue. I'm also going to make sure that I'm picking my paint color. It's very traditional that an animator would do their first pass in a light color, which we kind of did the first time here. Also, we have the blue color on the stage. So what I might want to do is go to the other side and make this rough pass here more in the purple. All right, we got pencil, 4 pixels, spacing, smoothing is 3. We'll take it up to 4. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start this out, and we're just going to, on this first key, rough in the shape of the head. Oops. Okay, so we're going to just give him his oval head. We're going to give the medial line right down the middle, the eye line. We're going to put his neck in there. In this, we're going to make sure that he's got a nice body. So there is a line of action in there going from like this, head forwards. We can block in the hair just on the first key if we want. Eyesight, eye line, nose, shoulders. We can block in the arms a little bit. And we can turn the onion skin down on the other layers just so that they're not, or the visibility on just a little bit, so that we can see what we're doing just a little more here. All right, so we're just going to block this in. All right, so remember that we went over this last week, and now that I'm recording it, it'll just be a little bit of a review. This is our main stage. It's 1280 by 720, and one field in is action safe, so you don't want to have anything near the edge in terms of action. And then we have title safe, which is another field in, which is the dotted line. And then we divided up our stage into thirds. So we have cinematic thirds. And where those cinematic thirds cross each other, those are your focal points. There's also a focal point in the middle. Made notes here that we were kind of just dressing up our shot, and that there's a horizon back there. There might be indication where there might be a tree or some stuff in the upper left and upper right position, just to make sure that you have a background or you have something in there that you can work with. This character here could easily be on this focal point over here. We could easily just change this out and move them over there. But let's just continue. So you're going to start out neutral. We do want this character to pause on this frame for a few beats, and we talked about beats being a third of a second. So at least for 16 frames while he's doing nothing. So right here, this is frame 19, and that was good enough. So on this frame right here, we need to go to our first rough and just add frames. And remember that when you do this and you say add a drawing after, it brings in that same duration. So we're gonna have to play with that a little bit. That's fine. All right, so now he's gonna start to turn. And so in turning, one of the ways we can do this is we can go and draw the down position. We can figure out how far down his head is going to move when he moves his head across. Or we can just do it. We can say he's going to move, and we're going to move his head about 1/4 of an inch to the right. Just drawing that oval in there. Bringing the medial line more towards center. Taking the body And remember, we decided last week that his body should drift a little bit to the right with him as well. So his neck is going to basically stay in the same position. This is his medial line. And medial is a medical term, it just means middle. All right, and so his head is turning just a little bit. And instead of letting it be the same duration of 18 frames, let's just take this down and let's just put this on 4s, let's say. So it's on 3 and now it's on 4s. So let's just animate this on 4. So now if I say animate a drawing after, it's just going to be 4s. So let's open up our onion skin just a little bit so we can see that drawing before it just a little bit. All right, that's fine. So the little lighter colored red is the one from before. So on this one now, we're going to continue moving his head. And we're going to drop the chin down just a little bit. Whenever you do a head turn, there should always be an arc. There should always be a nice little arc right here. So this medial line is going to drop down. And we're just blocking this in. This medial line here is going to come across just a little bit. His neck is going to kind of stay in the same position. His body's going to drift about 1 pencil width to the right. That's the middle line right there. This is his left arm, his shoulders once again. So once again, we're just going to do this on 4s. And we're going to continue here. And we're going to want to hit this position over here at some point or another. Because he's turned, you could see that in the onion skin, we can see this drawing, he's already turned. All right, so bring his head down a little bit more. In this condition, when he's doing a head turn like this, you do not need to close the eyes. It's often the case that when you do a fast head turn, that you blink. It's also a little bit ominous to put the midline, the medial line, right down the middle. But let's see what it looks like. We're going to drop the head just a little bit. Again, his body's moving just 1 pencil width to the right. And we can put those details in there a little bit. His neck is basically staying in the same place. Add a drawing after. All right, and then we're going to continue the movement downwards on his head. And his head is still moving to the right just a little bit. And the medial line is going to move about 1/8 of an inch over. And that midline is still coming down a little bit. At this point, we can freeze the movement on his body. We can just get it to stop, and the neck isn't moving hardly much at all. All right, so then one more drawing after. All right, and now we're going to take his head, move it just a little bit more to the right. And you can see that it's almost in that position where we wanted it to be, and looking to the right over there. So his midline is now here. His body's frozen. We're just going to trace it back. Trace these lines back. Those neck lines in there. All right, and then we can consider one more drawing here. And so we're just pushing. So now his head is going to come up a little bit. And you can see we're almost ready to be in that same position that we roughed it out in. And so the midline is moved over to about right here. And what we don't have is like the volume on the back of his head. All we have is a football right now. And we've also redirected the body just a little bit, but that's okay. We're allowed to do that. All right, so his medial line is here. And they're not exactly in the same place as our first test, but that's okay. This is the last position that he's looking to the right in. So what I want to do is I want to hold this one for at least 8 frames. So we're almost at the end here. We're almost at our original timing. Maybe we want to take this one and have this one for 6 and have this one for 6 so that it eases into this position. We take this one, we say add a drawing after, and it's going to be on this 8 frame duration that we started with this one. That's okay. What we can do is we can just bring it down so we can just take this stuff back to 4s. And we got to realize what he's doing. So he looks to his left and he held for 8 frames. That's a whole beat. Remember when we were talking about it here, that's a whole beat. That's a third of a second. So what he's doing is he's drifting to the left, then he's going to come back as like something had caught his eye over here, and he's going to look back immediately. So this is a zip. He's going to move really fast right here. So this drawing here would probably be on even 2s. So from this position here into this position, we're just going to draw about halfway. We don't have to worry about the arc this time. We're going to just zip midline. Let's favor the left position. Let's bring his body coming back to his right, our left now. Just a little bit. And we're bringing in one more drawing on 2s. This one we can just make this on 4s because it's going to be, he's going to snap into it. And this is going to be in this position here. So we're going to go all the way to the position that we started with here. Line of action. Get the body to move just a little bit to our left, his right. That neck in there. And remember, we haven't finished the head, we're just drawing the volumes. Midline and center line, so those are your medial lines in order to put the eyes. All right, and so we could, if we liked this timing right here, actually take this out to 2 more frames, so it's holding on 6, add another drawing after, and that this one, it cannot be on 6, so we'll take this down to 2s. And so this is, now he's gonna drop from the red, he's going into his squash and his blink. He's going into his main anticipation here. So remember from our examples over here, so now you can start looking at how fast he's going to go from this normal neutral into his squash. And from here, we're just going to use one intermediate drawing, one breakdown drawing. And instead of doing the neutral key and then the squash, and then going back in and doing a breakdown, let's just do it as we're going. We're going to do what's called animating straight ahead. So we already have the rough back there, so let's draw the head position about halfway through. Bring the midline. His head is going down, so that's about halfway through. And now remember from this example over here, in the squash, the shoulders come up, the hands, the elbows, everything comes up. And so in this drawing here, let's bring the shoulders up about halfway, but that means we keep his belly over here. We keep this, but we keep his shoulder, his elbow. We see a break in the elbow, maybe a little bit of his back, his neck. This is on 2s, out of drawing after. All right, so now we hit the blue position. So now we're gonna draw the head in the full squash position. So think about it more like your bouncing ball, just drawn in the full squash position. Remember that the eyes are as low as they're going to get. They're closed. The main action is going down. The counter action is that the arms are coming up. Elbows are coming up. That's his back right there. This is his belly. Now you can see the break between the arm and his side. Got to put the neck in there. All right. This is the squash position. In this example here, neither Hallis or Richard Williams talk about holding this down position here too much. In this example here, he just starts neutral and bounces. The reaction is technically a bounce. You can bounce from the squash position directly into this stretched position. But sometimes it makes sense that we might want to go back in here and hold this so that the squash drawing actually reads for another frame. Well, let's just see what it looks like on 2s. Let's just see what it looks like. So, I mean, I wish we could color code this. We could just write a little note here for ourselves. This is on 2s. We can make a little chart to say going from neutral, and then this is the squash drawing, and we're going to favor this. So this little key right here, will give us or remind us that we might want to go back in there and either hold it longer or do a smear drawing as we go into the upper stretch position. All right, so in this example here, our timing wasn't the same. We're not looking at the same timing. We're going to actually forget about this or bring this down to match it and go back to this drawing and say, now we're going to start moving into this stretch position. And let's just see what it looks like. I did that just so that we're not going to confuse ourselves with timing or spacing. Oh, and that reminds me, there's a note when we were talking about the original principles of animation. We talked about timing, and we talked about how easy it is for you all to recognize the sense of timing, the sense of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That's timing. He's going to go from this position into a change of expression in 17 frames. But we also have to read this. So this 17 drawing might be holding for 24, 48 drawings. It might be holding for 2 seconds so that the audience can read this. This is a really easy thing to remember, is this sense of timing. It also is the hardest thing to master. It takes you a while to really figure out what your overall sense of timing is going to be like. And remember too that in that discussion that we were having, that squash and stretch is really easy to understand and it's really easy to master. And so when we're doing this, we're adding a sense of squash and a sense of stretch. And we should be able to do that just without even thinking about it. When we're talking about overlapping action, it gets a little confusing. So overlapping action can be a little difficult to understand and a little difficult to master. Secondary action, it's like, what? It's really hard to understand, and it's really hard to master secondary action. So remember that when we're doing this, we're thinking of the basics, and we are thinking stretch. So we're blasting out of this red position into a stretch position. And so it's just like our bouncing ball. There is an arc here. He is moving slightly backwards. His body's going down now. His arm is down. So we're basically copying the same kind of positions here. Midline is here. And we're going to go up. We're going to arc this midline in the up position. Draw those eyes in there so we remember where they are. All right, and then so that's on 2s. We might want to hold it for another drawing, but let's take our drawing here. Oh, sorry. Let's take this one, bring it down so that it matches. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to return to this position. So we want one more drawing. So we're going from the red into the blue, but we're going to break this down. It's just like both Hallis was doing. Well, Hallis didn't do this. Hallis did it here. So we're going from the stretch into a normal position. We have one drawing in between these. This is the main stretch, one drawing in between them. Richard Williams did it here, where the mouth can close, and then you go into the neutral position. He did not do it on these. He just blasted right from this drawing into 16, but there's an indication of a chart here that said he wants 1, 2, 3 drawings between this drawing number 8 and drawing 16. So we want at least one drawing here. We'll have to figure out what it'll work like. So we're just going to do halfway. Just about halfway. So you go from the top of the head to the other top of the head. So it's not quite so squashed, not quite so stretched. Bringing, let's go backwards a drawing. Let's make sure where we were. So we were there. Our body is in on that drawing. So now we're going to bring our body back out just a little bit. We're going to relax it just a little bit. Maybe bring a sense of an elbow back in just a little bit. Bring the midline, medial line about right there. All right, so then we want one more drawing after this. What we could do is we can cushion this. We can put one more drawing in between the in between that we have, the breakdown that we have. And then we're going to do one more after this. So medial line for the eyes is going to be about right there. And the body continues to move outwards. The arm continues to relax a little bit. The neck hasn't really moved too much. So one more drawing. And you can see that we're getting to the sense of that timing right now. So let's copy the blue drawing. And it's all the way into its new position. And it's a new expression. The midline is about right there. The arm is relaxed. This arm has come out. Neck, midline. All right, so then let's just take this and drop it to 4s. And let's see what we had on this drawing here. I think that what we had done with this drawing was just extended it from the beginning so that we wound up with the same basic. So you can see what it looked like right there. So we've diminished the view here on our original rough, but you can see that what we're doing with the sense of timing. He's looking over and he snaps back and reacts. So let's think about this for just a moment. He looks to his left, then he snaps back, but then I think he reacts too fast. So let's look at it again. Snaps back, and he looks just a little too fast. So I'm going to take this layer here, this blue layer we started with, and just kill it. So now all we got is our original background and our new timing. Let's take a look at it one more time. All right, so let's think about this. He goes from looking over, and then he snaps back right here, right? So he snaps back right there. I'm gonna kill the onion skin so we don't see it. So let's talk about, so he's still looking over, and then he snaps back. So right here on this drawing right here, on drawing 53, that's when he's fully looking to his left, right? So if you think about what he's doing here, he's just looked over to his left or something. There was, an ice cream stand, or he's looking over there at the pretzel stand or something. He's just kind of snap back. Oh my God, the horses have already started running. But what this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings, 6 frames. This is not enough time to react. This is not enough time for him to zip over and have all the information go into his head and then think about this reaction that he's going to take. So this needs more time. So this needs, let's take it 2 more frames out and look at it. So what we're going to look at is that differentiation and timing right there. We just added 2 frames to our main return. Let's see what a timing looks like. That looks a little better. So let's think about it. Was that enough? So now this is 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it's okay. It's okay with this timing. He's already had this amount of time. He's already had a full 18 frames, which is 3 beats and then another beat for all of this stuff to register. So the perfection in timing is that we're going to give this a full 8 frames. Let's take a look at it one more time. Okay, so what I'm seeing now is that the arms return to their position just a little too fast. So let's just take a look at that. Here in this drawing, I think it might make sense if we start defining where this elbow is. And remember that this is his midline, this is his belly. Or no, this is his belly, this is his other shoulder. This is like his midline. All right, so just keep that in mind. So let's start blocking in the eyes just a little bit, just where they would be. Next drawing. Turn my onion skin back on. All right, he's moving to the right just a little bit, so bring those eyes over. Bring this elbow over. All right, so that's all we're doing right now is at the eyes and the elbow. All right, so the eyes continue to move to the right just a little bit. And with elbow, we added the elbow. Okay. Bring the eyes over. Bring that new elbow over. We're going to add a collar next so we can see more of a 3-dimension to this. All right, so this is here. He's looking. New elbow. No, that elbow is not moving quite as much. All right, and then the next one. Let's take. All right, so he's still moving. So this is still moving to our right, his left. And then this is the hold position. So now let's just take a look at the way we've drawn the eyes here and go back to this one. Make sure that they're not too different. They are very similar. All right, so then this one is the zip. So this one we can do a couple of fun things here. On this one, we can put like a couple of different eyes. We can put 4 eyes on this guy. So at least 3 or 4 eyes right here. It's going to zip across. Then he's going to hit this position. And then here, those eyes are really wide open. Eyebrows. Oh, sorry, we forgot to draw the elbow on a couple of drawings. So on this one, we need the elbow. This one, we need the elbow. All right, and then this one, the elbow is going to be right here. And this is going to be important because it's going to go up. It's going to animate up. Then it's going to come down. Before we do that, let's give him his neck. And it's moving across. It's not going to move too much. Going to give it a sense of 3 dimensions. His shoulder's missing. Let's go backwards and make sure his shoulder's there. Shoulder. All right, and then to speed things up just a little bit, I'm using the greater than and less than signs to navigate through the timeline. Just speed things up a little bit. Watch it for it to change. Shoulder. This one looks like it needs a little stronger of an elbow. Okay, shoulder, other shoulder. Okay, good. And now we're roughing this in, other shoulder. All right, oh, I went too far, hold on. All right, so this is his main look. So this is a main keyframe right here. Circle this one. This is a main keyframe. This has got to look good. His eyes are open. We're going to do the nose next and the mouth next. All right, so this is where his shoulders are going up. So this is coming up. Put this in there, get that shoulder there. This one, I think it's okay. Maybe increase the, oops, negative space here just a little bit. We want to hold these in the upper position just a little bit longer. You might see his hand here. All right, let's go forwards in time. And on this one, I think that what we can do is delay the hands coming down by at least a drawing or 2. In the other examples, we saw that they were snapping, but let's delay it by a frame here. Actually, it's 2 frames. And then overlap it with this one. So instead of just getting into this position, let's give one more position here where the hands are, our elbows and arms are delayed now by 6 total frames. And in this drawing, then the arms have already gone down. Now we've got the shoulders, his collar, and this one, it's just, now this one and this one would be interesting because the hands can recoil a little bit. All right, let's go to the first drawing without testing this. And let's just drop an ear in there so we know where his ear is, and a nose and his mouth. Let's make it more neutral than that instead of happy. just neutral. All right, let's use here and let's move this across. Remember, this is going into the down position. This ear is moving over. We're going to see the other ear over here. Continue forwards in time. Put his nose, favor the right position. Now you can see this ear. Oh, we forgot to draw the mouth on this position. All right, still coming across to the right. This ear is following along. The other ear has disappeared. Now this ear is moving over to the right just a little bit. Mouth is dropping down, it's still moving into the down position. Ear. Nose. Oh, we forgot to draw the nose on this frame. The nose here. Nose here. Mouth is still going into the down position. Nice, strong ear position. Let's go backwards. Good, still okay. This got to open up a little bit. Let's go forwards in time. Oops, right there. Strong nose, mouth, ear position. Okay. All right, now he's zipping back. So now his nose is going this way. His mouth is over here. Now we see this ear. We see 4 eyes in this one. But we can also see some speed lines out here. So he's moved so fast that we see an extra little bit of his eyes that were over there. We can even see one over here. It's the frame before. All right, so here we draw his nose. Now we're going to draw his mouth open. We won't do the pupils yet. All right, and then he's reacting. So this one is his eyes are closed. So you draw those little arrows like the South Park characters, point the arrows at each other. And bring the mouth down. Bring his ear down. This is the main position, so you can even tilt that a little bit. Nose, ear, eyes wide open. This is the main. Get the eyebrows way up here. Get the eyebrows off the top of the head. Get the pupils. Just make it an amazing drawing. The nose in there and get the mouth just nuts. Just as nuts as you can possibly make it. This is the fun drawing that you want to get to. That you're stretching everything. This is your main stretch drawing. Eyes. The near eye should be a little bigger. His ear is stretched. Everything is stretched. All right. Then his hands are delaying. Remember, we haven't even tested that yet. His eyes are starting to return to normal. His mouth is going to be right about there. 2 more drawings. All right, so you can see the green. We're shooting for the green. So get the purple eyes in here. Get the nose. A change of expression. Bring the ear down. And then your final drawing here. Nose, mouth, ear. And remember, this is going to have to hold. We could do a whole bunch of things right here where we can blink this character. But let's just take a look at what our animation looks like right now. All right, so this, I think that this, when he looks over, now that we can see it, this needs even more timing. So we've got it on 8 frames. Let's take it out to 12. All right, I think it looks better. Yeah, I think that as long as this is 12 right here, what we can do is we can actually have him blink in the middle of it. But essentially, now we're starting to really break down this movement here. What we can do is we can take this little guy. Let's just hold him for a beat right here. So we're going to take this out to 8 frames. And we're going to take our select tool. We're going to copy everything on this frame, just to time it. And we're going to add a frame after. And we're going to paste it. And we're going to take this down to just 2 frames. Oh, sorry, just to 2 frames. Then we're going to add a frame after, and we're going to paste it again. And we're going to make that one all the way to the end of the shot. Right now, well, that's fine, just leave it right there. But in this drawing right here, we want him to blink. So let's take our eraser and get rid of the eyes as we have them. We're just going to do a really quick 2-frame blink. So do the little arrows pointing at each other. And let's see what the timing looks like right now. All right. So remember what we've got is 121 frames, that's 5 seconds. Drifting over, zipping back. So that looks good. You got the little blink in there. All right, so what also, just in terms of performance and acting, I think that this is the last frame before he starts to zip over. We could even add a little bit of extra padding right here. It's only on for 8. Let's give it another 4 frames. Let's take this out to 12 and just see what that timing looks like right now. Yeah, I think it might even need more here. This is 12. Let's take it out to 16. Yeah, I think that's starting to look good right there. So right now we've got 104 frames out of 120, and that's a really good place for our sense of timing. All right, so let's do a couple more things here. Let's just take this layer and just kind of tie it down just a little bit. So what I'm thinking of is I want to see what his hair is looking like. So we want a brow about right here, and we want just a little S shape between the top of his brow and his ear. We also want to give a little bit more volume to the back of the head, and we'll carry that through. So we're just going to do that for these keyframes. Let me kill the before, and let's kill the afterwards just a little bit. So this is moving, remember, just to the right. So you always have to remember what your motion was looking like. So this is moving to the right and down a little bit. This ear is disappearing. So we're going to see the other ear in just a moment. So remember, we're just doing the hair. So this is disappearing. And this is the oblong part of his head. That's fine. Let's go out a couple more drawings. All right, now we see the ear here, so I can start to see this hairline, his brow. I don't see the other one anymore. Might be able to see the back of his head just a little bit. You have to be careful because now you're adding volume right there. And when you're doing that, you don't want it to move in the wrong direction. So remember, he's still moving to the right. So bring even though this is turning in 3D space, bring it so that it moves to the right as well. So right there, that's important to make sure this hair moves to the right a little bit. We missed a hairline right here. So let's draw this one in. It's moving to the right just a little bit. There's his forehead, forward in time. Forehead, it's going down a little bit. There's that little S shape. All right, now this drawing here, bring the brow down just a little bit, the forehead down, this little S shape. And remember, this is our extreme. This is our main extreme here. So it's going to just be moving to the right just a little bit. Eyes are looking a little funny, but that's okay. All right, so this one is a zip back. This is the one where we see 5 eyes. And so we're going to see a couple of different hairlines. We're going to see the brow in here. We're going to see speed lines over here, maybe a speed line over there. All right, this one. All right, so now we need the brow. We need his ear here, so we need the hairline, his forehead, a little thickness on the back of his head. Connect the neck a little better. All right, and then that's holding, so that's going to be a main keyframe. All right, so this one, his eyes are closed. We need the hairline, the brow, the forehead, the back of the head. His eyes are closed. We need a stronger nose. Forwards in time. All right, so this is down. This is going into the down squash position. All things are going down and out. Down and out. All right, now it's going up. So now we've got this. We got this. We got the volume on the back of his head. Still has to stay thin. There's his forehead. His hair can be like crazy up here. Can do all kinds of stuff with it. Let's see. We can do. We want to stay away from those eyebrows because we want to see them. So maybe his hair does something like this. I'm just kind of looking at the negative space. Let's go to the next keyframe. We need the hairline. We need the forehead coming down, the back of the volume, the ear is coming down a little bit. Head is returning to somewhat normal position. Eyes are could be a little bigger here still. Shoulders are dropping just a little bit. Hairline, top of the head, forehead, back of the head. All right, this drawing here is holding, this is another main key. Forehead, hairline, top of the head is still dropping. And then this one, this is where he blinks, so this stuff stays the same. Forehead, top, this is just all the same. You can put a little cowlick there if you want. And then copy it here too, because his eyes are open now. All right, so we've got a couple of things going there. We've got we got a head turn, we got a zip, we got a reaction, we got a total take. We got 5 seconds worth of animation. Save this. All right, let's take a look at what this looks like again. Okay, that looks good to me, just as a rough. You know, obviously needs to be tied down again on top of this, but that's a good place to be for next week. Getting a head turn, a zip, a faster action, and a squash and stretch with a sense of timing in there. All right, let me stop that from playback. All right, let me jump back over here and just bring up that one view of Klaus.
Or what he
Phase.
but
I don't know where it was. I'm just going to put that on the recording because it was just such a good take. See if we can find it. Head turn. He's talking about the walk. He's talking about that guy, the rap party. They're talking about the full motion tests. Texture, they were talking about texture there. Where's Jesper doing his reaction? Oh, I don't know where it went.
doing at the time, we're basically working on the Nuke, right? And what we did is we hired a programmer to, add a few tools that allowed us to make this life easier. It was basically based on a system of vectorial shapes. We did the whole teaser trailer that way. It took some time, but we realized it's workable.
Perfect. It's the best take in the whole film. All right, I'm going to